we got to put our phone on D&D so we get the whole do not disturb. Ta-da! All right. We are open for business. Going to be talking about open houses today. Let's see here. Nolan's in here. No, Nolan. Tanner's in here. Very nice. See people rolling in. That's good. Oh, wait, I got a message from Tony. What's that? Welcome. Very nice, Tony, as always. Welcome everybody to the webinar. So we're going to be doing this class. We're going to give people a minute or two to log in, and but I'm super excited about this class, and it should be a really, really good one. Anybody thinking about doing open houses in 2024 and beyond, follow this playbook. This is the one that's actually going to make you money. So I'm excited about that. Let me shut this chat down too much there. Ooh, I got to get the open house piece open. Let's go do that while I'm doing this. Tony, thank you as always for setting everything up. Could not do this stuff without you. And let's see, open house presentation. There's the PowerPoint. And once the PowerPoint opens up, we're going to do a share screen there, and we'll get things going. All right, move this thing over. Nope. There we go. Move this over there. Oh, we have our 2024 forecast. We don't want that up. You guys will want that enough information eventually. Okay. All right. So with that, we're going to get started. I want to do a quick share screen. We're going to share to here. And now we got to start the slideshow. Thank you for letting me know. Participants can now see the application. That's awesome. And we're live. Cool. I guess I should put the chat somewhere over here so I can see what's going on. All right, guys. And all right. Please. Oh, okay, good. So for those of you that are in the chat, give us a shout out. Let us know that you're in there. We're excited to see everybody. This is the first of our 2024 Zoom presentations. Normally we do Zoom lunch and learns, and we do have a Zoom lunch and learn training coming up in a couple weeks. We'll talk about what that's going to be about and what the dates and times are on that. What's going on, Tanner? Good to hear from you. Any questions you guys have as we're going through the program, please hit up the chat. Hello, Virginia. How are you? Almost tried to say Virginia's name, but I know it's Virginia. Dorina, watching from home. Very nice. Okay, good. All right, guys. I love this class. I taught it a lot in December on one-on-ones and then some in-office presentations. And now we're just kind of bringing it out a little bit here from my own office. So with that, we want to talk about how to host an open house for the best buyer conversion. And of course, the question becomes, let's see if we get that to click. You guys know who I am. You're on here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on here, but we have one big point here we want to cover. Actually, two. I'm glad Tony changed the slide around for me. So yes, I've been in the mortgage business for 30 plus years, but what would I know about hosting an open house? Well, as you guys may or may not know, I am what they call a level 3 student in the core training. In the core training is a group of, at least last semester, was about 150 real estate agents and about 350 lenders from around the country, top producers that get together twice a year and train and share information and share ideas. We have, when I was at the November class of the core, when I was at November, I met this gentleman, Kay Watanabe. Kay is an EXPA agent, EXP realtor, excuse me, out of Tucson, Arizona. Kay's team is going to do about 400 transactions in 2023. That's what they were on target for. Kay started talking to me about how their team approaches open houses. And it's dramatically different than anything I've seen. I've sat open houses over my career, hundreds of open houses in my career with agents. No agent here in Chicago does what his team does. And I think what his team does is brilliant. I think it's simple, and I think it's a paradigm shift. And I know if you guys use these techniques, you will get more conversions out of your open house. And the good news is we'll be there to make sure you're doing this stuff, because we will be attending open houses as our team as well. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So one of the things that makes core students successful, and one of the things I learned when I joined the course 6.5 years ago, was how quickly can I implement something I've learned? And that's really going to be what makes me successful. Because if I can get something implemented, get it on my team, get things moving, I can go on to the next thing, and I could start really, whatever that tactic is, having that benefit our business. So one of the things that Kay noted was the time has changed in the amount of time from having a lead to when you close. In other words, you guys get introduced to buyer says, hey, I'm looking to buy in Schaumburg. Okay, great. Kay noticed in his market that the lead time for getting a lead and getting paid had blown up to like 5.5 months. Now, a lot of that is due to inventory, right? We have a lack of inventory, a little tougher to find people homes. So as we talked about speed of implementation, and Kay wanted to figure out, like, nothing wrong with 5.5 month wait time, but what do we do to change it? So how do we fix it? Where do we go find a shorter conversion time? And where do we do that? Open houses. Why open houses? Because you guys, when you first get introduced to a lead, a lot of times these folks aren't even in their car yet. They're not checking out neighbors. They've talked about it. Hey, my lease is up in 6 to 8 months. They're not going out and looking at open houses. Folks that are going to look at open houses today, they're much farther down the road and a lot closer to the closing table, which is benefits us all, of course, right? So how do we open house leads? That's where he wanted to concentrate. And then he started showing me the different things that they do in an open house. And I took 5.5 pages of notes. And that was the first week of November. On my flight back to Chicago, I literally wrote this PowerPoint on the plane. Tony, of course, created it. Thank you very much. It took me 3 weeks to get onto Kay's calendar, to have him look at this PowerPoint that you guys are looking at today. He gave me another couple pages of notes. We threw in some more slides, and what you guys are about to see is what you guys can do to improve your open house conversions. Now, how do you benefit from an open house? We know as a fact, less than 2% of the people that walk through a house, or around 2% of the people, actually buy that house. You guys know it if you've worked any open houses. Tell me if you think that's a good number relative. Throw it in the chat just to make sure we're interactive. But nationally, the number I'm told is 2%. So if we're doing an open house, we're not really doing it to sell the house. We're maybe doing it to placate the seller so they're happy with our listing efforts. But what we should really be concentrating on is the leads that the people that are walking through. So what I argue to say is that I know for a fact you guys are probably doing this wrong compared to the way his team does it. So here's a quick poll time. I told you guys this was going to be interactive, and we're not going to go to the next screen until I hear from you guys. Where in the house do you traditionally set up right now? Put it in the chat. Kind of curious, like, what room in the house do you set up when you decide to go host an open house? Waiting for responses. Come on, guys. What room of the house? There we go. Well, Tony, I appreciate that. Doreen is in the kitchen. Tony said kitchen. Any other responses? Is the kitchen, is that the room we set up in? Kitchen. Jessica, thanks. Hey, Jessica. Anybody else, any other input here as far as what room you set up in? Tanner, living room by the fireplace. Very nice, Tanner. I don't know if he's making s'mores over there. Anyway, so everybody sets up in the kitchen. It is the worst place to set up for your open house. The worst place. Here's why. As we know, the kitchen's the most important room in the house. That's the number one place if you're going to do any improvements. It adds the most value. This is where the family spends the most time. And as we've known, this is kind of where people now congregate if you have any kind of gathering at your house. Now, if you have your stuff all over this counter, you're in there, your lender's in there, a couple things are going on. Number one, the buyers that are going through the house can't really see themselves in this kitchen because you're in the kitchen. Your stuff's all over that counter. They also can't really open it. They don't feel comfortable opening cabinets, drawers, getting a feel for the room. That's really the room they want to spend the time in and check out. Where should you set up? As close to the door as possible. As close to the door as possible. Now, why in close to the door? Specifically because you want to catch them as they're coming in and as they're leaving. And of course, most importantly, we want to get out of the kitchen. Now, in this picture I have on the slide, we've got this little, I don't know what they would call this table, but you got the little table there with the mirror. You don't want to clear all their stuff out. So you're going to probably have to have as your open house toolkit, I recommend a couple of TV trays, nice TV trays, obviously, but they give you the flexibility to set up a couple brochure stands, maybe your sign-in sheet, and have it anywhere you want. Folding chair, a couple of TV trays, easy to put in the car, easy to set up anywhere. Get yourself set up as close as you can to the front door. Now, what do we do? What does everybody do when they walk in? Hey, sign up my sheet, sign up. And it's kind of the equivalent of asking for a kiss before you actually went out on the date. So yes, we do want to get their information, but if the first thing you do is hit them with this information, it's probably not the best practice, and it is a little bit off-putting, if you will. So we'll talk about when the best time to ask for and how you're going to ask for it so you can get that information. Obviously, you want the name because you want to know who you're talking to, but beyond that, we'll show you how to get the information. Now, we got poll time again. What's the most common question that you should never ask? What's the most common question that's asked to these buyers as they're walking through the home that you guys should never ask? Give me some input here. What question do we always ask? Darina, do you have an agent? Who else has got a good quote, good answer for me? Darina might actually win a prize for interacting with us more than anybody else. I like it. What's the most common question, guys? Anybody else got anything for me? I want to make sure that everybody's paying attention. Where else are you looking? Okay, not bad. How long have you been looking? Not bad, Virginia. Okay, good. The one thing that you guys should never ask is, do you have an agent? Now, Kay's team never asks that question. Now, part of the reason, the majority of the reason why you're not asking that question is because the minute they tell you they're working with an agent, ethically, you can't solicit them. Guys, if they're working with an agent and they had a great relationship, that agent should be standing next to them when they walk in the door, if that relationship was that good. Now, going back to when we were all dating, you might have actually dated somebody or met somebody who you eventually dated, who, by the way, at the time was dating somebody else. I don't want to know if they're working with another agent. I want to treat them the minute they walk through the door like they're my client. Now, what do you do to do that? Well, let's talk about that. One of the common mistakes I see relative to the way Kay's team does it, in the way that I see people here in Chicago, anybody I've sat in an open house with, is they let the client walk through the house. Now, there's a couple issues with that. Number one, you can't build any rapport with anybody. You just let them go through the house. Number two, you want to find out what they like, don't like. You want to actually treat them as if this is one of your showings where you guys, they're your customers, you made an appointment to come out here, and you're going to walk them through, show them through this house as if they were already your clients. Now, how do you set the stage for that? We have a script that is written right here, but it's something you can use to say, look, how you doing, Mr. and Mrs. Homebuyer? I'm going to walk you through the home the first time, and stress the first time, because I want to point some things out that I know about this property as the listing agent that you may not see walking through the home. After I'm done, you can go back through the home on your own and take a look at any of the rooms that you want to. Let me just walk you through the first time. So you've actually set the stage why you want to do it, which is you want to show them things. Now, before we get too far, you better know 2 or 3 things about the house that may not be obvious to them. And it could be simple things like, hey, there's carpet under there, or there's hardwood floors under this carpet. Or walk them into one of the 2nd-story rooms and say, by the way, your attic access is right here. And I've actually looked around, there's plenty of storage space up there. Find 2 or 3 things that wouldn't necessarily be obvious, which also might mean that if it's not your listing, because I know a lot of people that work open houses show other people's listings, you may want to get there a little early and walk through the house and see what else you can find out. Talk to that listing agent. But find a couple of things to justify the script that you just gave them. Now, when you walk through the house, you can start to build rapport and build a relationship with them, as opposed to, hey, walk through, we'll see you when you're done, tell me what you think. Oh, do you have an agent? We're never going to do any of that other stuff. I don't want to know if they have an agent. I want to treat them like they're my customer. Okay. Now, one quick thing. Obviously, if you're going to change your plan, you want to be a little bit more prepared. So I personally, if I was working open houses, I would have a checklist of just things that I knew I wanted to do. Whether it was, I have one agent from Keller Williams that likes to walk the neighborhood the day before, knock on doors and say, hey, by the way, we've got an open house. Here's a flyer. If you want to come check it out, you guys can do that. The next thing that I've had another agent recommend, and I don't mind this, is, hey, by the way, we're going to have an open house between 1 and 3, but for any of the neighbors in the area, if you want a private showing, come by around 12:30. I'll be ready to show the property to you. Now, that's not a bad idea to get rid of the looky-loos and find out if they know anybody in the neighborhood. They're coming at 12:30. You've personally invited them, and you know they're just a neighbor. So maybe their kids want to live in the neighborhood, whatever. You could do that. Researching the area, the markets, the schools, and the price. This is going to be important for something that I'm going to talk about later, but I don't know, like, it would seem to me to be a really good idea if you're now walking the client through the home, treating the client as it's your client, you would want to know things like how many homes in this school district are in this price? What's the average market time on this type of property? Doesn't take that long. You guys have the tools to figure out some of this stuff. Have this stuff ready. We talked about materials to bring: folding chairs, tables, pens, some TV trays, just because I think it's easier to set up and gives you a lot more flexibility where you can set up. Get to the home 30 minutes before. I've had agents get to the home when there's literally 3 homeowners waiting to get, or 3 prospective homeowners waiting to get in. Get to the house early. Get yourself set up in there. And if you've never been through this house, I would walk through the house first. To remember, you're going to actually be showing multiple people this house. I would walk through the house first. If you're planning on opening up a door, a closet door in particular, where you say, hey, look at this huge closet, open that door, make sure it's not going to fall off the track for you, because if it does fall off the track, that's obviously awkward. Just take a walk through the house. All right. Now, they got to pass you on the way out because you've wisely set yourself up near the exit. And maybe there's a couple different families going through, and I have some information on that from Kay. But here's the question you're going to ask as they're walking out. What did you think about it? Hey, if they love it, great. My lender's here. Let's work on getting you approved so we can get you an offer. Now, we know over 90% of the time, this is not the house for them. They're not ready to do anything right now. So this is the other part that I want you guys to know and learn and practice. What's your unique selling proposition? We talked about this a little bit in the prep with the area. Your unique selling proposition is, hey, as I told you as we were walking through the house, there's really only one other house in this market, in this price range that's for sale. I actually have access to off-market properties that we can show you through our office, through my investors I work with, whatever. What you're trying to do is separate yourself from everybody else. Now, the one thing I wouldn't list when I talk about off-market properties, what am I talking about? Kay's group works with some investors. So they have investor properties that come to the market all the time. No problem. You guys have something called the private listing network. Now, I wouldn't say, hey, I've got the private listing network, because right now I think it's a very overused term. It's not private. Everybody's talking about it. So don't tell them you have the private listing network. Hey, I have an exclusive list of homes that are coming to market. And if we can get your name and number, I can make sure that can get you some of that information. Additionally, my lender has also done the research on this property and knows about 4 different down payment and grant programs that are available for properties in this price range in this area. So if we can get your information, we can get you more information on that. So you want, as they're leaving the house, you don't know they're working with another agent. You've built some rapport with them working through the house. Now you want to actually get some information and see about having them become your client. All right. As a lender, this is how we're going to support you guys. We are going to be staffing with you for your open houses. Serena said 4 or 8 programs. Serena, we actually have about 12 different programs around the Chicagoland area. It'll be a matter of what makes sense in that price range and maybe even in that geographical area. So yeah, we have up to 12, but they're not all going to work in all areas and all price ranges. Okay. As a lender, this is what we can do to assist you in your open house. Staff, we're going to help you. We're going to help you for support and security, of course. It's important to have an extra person there. List reports. If you don't know what list reports are, we're going to show you some of the flyers that come out of list reports. If you're not getting information list reports, send me an email. We'll get you a personal invite to list reports. They do some amazing content, marketing content. We're also going to give you a flyer specific to that home that talks about all the grants and down payment assistance that are available in that area, in that price range. And last but not least, as a gift to them for attending the open house, we will give them a free appraisal certificate for attending our home buying class. So I'm going to show you some of those materials, and then we're going to do a quick summary of the 3 things you're going to do now to start winning over these buyers. This is a sample of what List Reports creates. List Reports, once you sign up for it, they get the pictures directly out of the MLS, they get the properties out of the MLS, and then they do research from various places to get things like the school districts, how convenient it is, and things like that. So these flyers will be available to you. Additionally, we did an open house over here on Mason in Chicago. These were the various grant programs that made sense in that price range for that, anywhere from $6,500, $4,000, and then of course your standard IDA programs. Next, there's our certificate. So with this certificate that we will give them and create for your open house, they get that as a gift for coming to the open house. They qualify for that if they do 3 things with us. 1 thing is attend a home buying class, but they obviously have to close with us, and there's a couple things we want from them at that point. Now, ta-da! Question, of course, is when's your next open house? Before we get to that, the 3 things I want you guys to take from this. Number 1, set up near the door, never in the kitchen. Number 2, never, ever, ever ask them if they're working for an agent. We don't want to know. We want to win them over. And we want to do the right thing and be ethical and not solicit them if they are. And then number 3, create yourself a unique selling proposition so you have something to offer them that other agents can't. Remember, you just spent 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes with them. you built rapport, you connect with them personally. Now the close is that I do things differently as far as that's concerned. Oh, I got Q&A. Thank you, Tony. I didn't see that over here. New box. Okay, good. When do you handle the dual agency disclosure if you're a listing agent? Ooh, great question for your managing broker. So sorry about that, Noreen. I would pass that on to your managing broker as far as that's concerned when you handle that document. So your office will give you the best advice on that. Your unique selling proposition, I want to just cover this last point really importantly because I've had some agents when we've gone through this class that have said, hey, we don't have a private listing network. Okay. Most offices do. If you don't, it's no problem. You probably, though, have somebody in your office that works with investors, and those people constantly flip homes. I would connect with one or two of those agents in your office and say, hey, how many houses did your investors bring to market last year? 12, 10. Get a number in mind and then use that number. Hey, we have access to properties that are off market coming to market that I could make available to you that nobody else has access to. Remember, you want to establish some sort of exclusivity to you. Give them a reason to use you. We as a lender have set up some exclusivity to us because we've done some things like the free appraisal certificate. We've done some things like let me move this over here real quick, guys. Done some things like the free appraisal certificate, established some down payment assistance programs for them. And then we've got some other things that we're doing with our home buyer advantage, but we'll talk about that once they come to us. Any questions about open house, running an open house, and successfully, hang on one second, successfully. Okay, Nolan, how do you approach walking clients through the home when there are multiple families? I love that question. I'm glad you asked. So I asked Kay how to handle that. And he essentially said that if you're walking a client through and another client comes in, you have, as a salesperson, you have to make a decision. Am I really connecting with this family, this couple, this individual? Do I think I can convert this person? Or if I'm really not connecting and the person's being a little standoffish and they're not giving me anything, you know what? I'm going to break free from that walkthrough, and I'm going to go approach that other family. You as an agent are going to have to make that decision whether or not. If I'm connecting with somebody and I think I'm actually going to be able to sell this person a house afterwards, hey, I'm going to let them walk through the property and I'll say, hey, I'm going to give you a tour after, I'll give you a tour when I'm done with this family. But if I'm going to connect with this, really Kay's team's goal, get one person in that 2 hours, probably 2.5 hours you dedicated, maybe 3, get one person that'll buy a home from you down the road. That's the goal, one person. If you can get more than that, great. So you'll just have to make a decision which client you want to work from. Don't try to service them all. If you're connecting with somebody, great. Stay connected, stay engaged. If you're not, disconnect, go grab the next one and see if just maybe it's a better personality match. Great question. Any other questions at all? Best time, Marcia asked, best time Saturday or Sunday. I've never asked Kay that question. What would be the best time? Honestly, I apologize. I don't have an answer for what the best turn times are on that. As you guys are thinking about some other questions, I want to talk about some upcoming classes that we have. Our next big training is going to be Tuesday, January 23rd at noon. It's going to be, and Tony put it in the chat, it's going to be about HomeBot. If you have a database and you're looking for a great way to market the database, HomeBot is an amazing tool. Very, very inexpensive for up to 500 names. They'll take more than that, but it's very inexpensive for up to 500 names. And they will, it's basically a way to market into your database that gives you data every week on how your clients are interacting with the program. It costs about $300 a year There's no contract. It's like $25 a month. My clients that use it love it. We get leads from it all the time. Tony, if you put in the chat, how many every Monday we get a report on our clients as they've interacted with the program. And Tony, just throw out an average of how many people a week interact with that program. I'll have her put that in the chat because I don't know, or you could just unmute yourself either way. But the every week I get a report on who interacted last week, and then I could use that as a reason to call on those folks and say, hey, I'm glad to see you're working, you like our HomeBot program, and I want to, wanted to follow up with you and see if I can help you get some more information. So, Tony, so I didn't want to know the open rate, Tony. So Tony was mentioning that the open rate, and this is important too, because emails is kind of like the new junk mail. This particular email has a ridiculously high open rate. It's like 65%. What I was looking for, Tony, is the number of names that are on that Monday report. Hey, this is the list of people that interacted in the last 7 days.
So that's probably at least 20, 25 people, sometimes 30.
Cool. And how many people do we have in HomeBot?
Oh, a lot.
But I don't think there's more than 900 people in there collectively.
No.
So
No.
it's between 800 or 900. So in 800 or 900, I'm getting, we'll say 25 hits a week. That means in a month, I've got 100 people that I could talk to out of my 800 person database. And that's pretty good. And it gives me, we're always looking for a reason to call our database and not just say, hey, you ready to sell, whatever. I could call them now because they're interacting, whether they're tweaking their balance, tweaking their value. In there, it gives them the opportunity to explore other neighborhoods, raise their hand to say, I need a CMA. A lot of really good stuff in there. What do we got? Ahead of that, on January 20th from 9 to 10, we're teaching a personal budget class. We teach classes to our homeowners and consumers to make sure that they have a successful homeownership journey. One of the classes that we teach is personal budgeting, and it's a simple class about, and Tony will put the sign up for that. It's a simple class on how to use a budget, how to track your income, your outflows, and most importantly, what you're saving. That's all I've got, guys. If you don't have any other questions, thank you guys very much for attending. Please keep us in mind for your open houses, the tools that we can bring you. And if you use these tactics, I know you're going to get buyers, and I can't wait to hear the feedback from your open house. Thank you guys very much for attending. Also, Tony will be sending you a survey. In the survey, if you know of anybody else who might need or want this type of class, put it down there in the survey. Otherwise, God bless you guys. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Thank you, thank you, thank you.